So you've been working at a company now as a software developer for 2 years. Congratulations. Now leave. Just kidding, you don't have to do that right now. It all depends on your given circumstances and where you are in your career. But if it's been 2 years now since your first real job as a software developer, I think it's about time for you to move on to a different company. And there's a couple of different reasons that I'll go over in this video why you should be doing that. Reason number one, of course, is salary increase. When you jump ships, you have a higher chance of making more than you would have if you just sticked around in this first real job that you got out of college. When you jump ships, move to a new company, they may have assigned a salary range to this role, and that role may just be one level up from where you are, and the salary bracket for that range might be bigger, and you have a chance of getting a much higher salary. Typically, after 2 years as a software developer, you can expect to hit the six-figure salary mark. Okay, it all depends on where you are in the country, and of course in the world. But in the U.S., if you've been working really hard as a software developer and you've learned a ton, as in your first 2 years, you can expect a six-figure salary in your next role. All right, so that's one, which is the obvious reason, and the other two reasons are actually more important. I'm going to go over why. Well, reason number two is you're going to learn more. If you've been working at a company for 2 years, you've probably understood quite a bit about how the company works, the company culture, of course, the software projects that you've been on, the tech stack. You may have understood it pretty well at this point. You may be contributing quite a bit, but you're going to start getting to a point where the learning is going to be plateauing. When you jump ships, it gives you a completely different environment, new set of people, new personalities to deal with, new company culture, and of course a new project that you have to kind of learn from scratch. And that could be a very, very useful experience to add to your arsenal. Another benefit of making that transition and moving on to a new company is that you get to learn what it feels to transition. If you work at your first real job out of college for 10 years straight, and then after 10 years, things don't seem to be working out and you need to transition, then that's going to be quite a learning curve for you to experience that transition. You've been used to the company culture, the company politics, you've learned about the various personality types in that company, you learned about how things work in that company and only that company, and now you're sort of midway into your career, and now you're thinking about, oh wow, I have to make this transition. I've never transitioned to a company before, to a different company before. So how is this going to work? You're going to have to start learning about data structures and algorithms again, which you learned about in college if you're going the technical route. So things get a little challenging if you transition midway through the career and you haven't had that experience before. So it's important to get that experience early. So I went over the first reason, which was a salary increase. Reason number two, the experience that you'll gain from that transition. Reason number three is kind of a subtle one, but it's, in my opinion, the most important. When you jump ships to a new company, you give yourself an opportunity to assume a new identity. What do I mean by that? As a junior level developer, when you first joined this company, you had to assume an identity, and that was that you had graduated college and you're a junior level guy, and you look at everyone else as people that have so much more experience than you, and they may look at you the same way as, this kid is the new kid on the block. He just graduated college, so what does he know? Even though within 2 years you may have learned a ton, you may have contributed a huge amount to the project, but it's hard to shake that identity off that you inherited when you joined that company. That saying is pretty relevant here. First impression is the last impression. So it's going to be hard for you to shake that identity off because, your boss's boss may be working at the company for 10 years or 12 years. And for them, they might think, oh, I've got 40 years of experience or 30 years of experience. This kid just graduated 2 years ago. Let's give him a couple more years before we give him any real promotion. Even though you may very well deserve that promotion. When you transition, it gives you an opportunity to assume a new identity, a new set of responsibilities. And the next team is going to think of you as someone not like a fresh grad out of college, they'll see, okay, this kid has, he looks young, but he has experience. He's worked at company XYZ before, and he's just transitioning. Maybe he's a mid-level guy, so, let's give him the responsibility that he's looking for. And if you're a go-getter, you will get those responsibilities, and you can modify your identity at that point. Okay, and that'll be a real test for you too. You'll say, okay, this is the real deal, right? This is my ticket. Now I have to assume these more responsibilities. I'm not a junior level guy anymore. I've got experience from my previous company. I'm ready to kick some butt in this new position. And that's vital experience that you should be gaining early on in your career if you want a successful future in any career, really. This is independent of whether you're a software developer or an accountant or what have you. So 3 reasons I went over. 1, of course, the salary increase. It's much easier just jumping companies and getting a better salary increase than trying to stick around. Reason 2 is, of course, the transitional experience. Very, very, very important. You don't want to be learning how it is to transition midway into your career. And then the 3rd reason is the most important, and that is you would get an opportunity to assume a new identity. You learn more about yourself in reason number 3. So that's critical. And hey, if it's your first job still and you're continuing to learn, you're learning new things, they're giving more responsibilities to you, then hey, stick around. You don't have to leave. But if you're at a point where it's been 2 years now and you're beginning to plateau and you're learning, it's time to move on, okay? So with that being said, let me wrap it up. Make sure to click the like button, it really helps, and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with my content. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.